Good evening. The time is now 7:02, and I would like to call the Beloit City Council meeting to order at this time. May we have a roll call, please?
There are 6 councilors present, and Councilor Jacobson is absent.
Item 2, Pledge of Allegiance. May we all stand, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, special orders of the day and announcements. 3A, please.
Introducing newly hired promoted employees.
City Manager Luther.
Thank you. I would like to recognize Jason Washburn, our Division Director from IT. He has a new employee to announce, although he's unable to be here this evening.
Right. Good evening.
Evening.
I'm pleased to announce a new hire in the IT department. His name is Jake Sorgel. Jake served in the United States Air Force at the Wright-Patterson, I gotta put my glasses on here, Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, where he provided Tier 1 and 2 level service desk support for military personnel. He managed over $14.5 million in assets with inventory controls and configured new and existing equipment through imaging, scripting, and remote network administration. So he's got over 5 years of IT experience, most of which was working with the demanding physician hospital IT framework, something I am no stranger to. He is no stranger to fast-paced environments requiring quick thinking solutions. His primary responsibility will be to transition, organize, and review the city's help desk functions, document inventories, and streamline several of our more laborious IT processes. Jake enjoys automation and scripting, which will bode well for us as we increase efficiencies in IT and embrace the next generation of devices to come, which is very quickly, I might add. As you see Jake around, please join him in welcoming him to the city of Beloit. Thank you very much.
3B, please.
It's the State of the City address.
Thank you. 49 years ago, I found out today that the first State of the City address was provided. We have the individual sitting in our audience this evening who gave that first State of the City address. At that time, he was president. Mr. Bill Watson is here, so we want to thank him, welcome him to the meeting this evening. 40 years ago, okay. See, I was getting a little old. I talked to him today. It was 40, 49, so 40 years ago. But welcome, Bill, and thank you for your hard work even back then. So, good evening to the residents of this great city, my fellow councilors, City Manager Lori Curtis Luther, City Attorney Elizabeth Krieger, and certainly the entire staff of the City of Beloit. I want to take a little time out to say thanks to each and every one of you for what you do each and every day. Each year we set aside time to share the city's successes. This year is no different. See, I graduated from Beloit Memorial High School in 1981. During that time, at each and every sporting event, we had a cheer that simply stated, "We're from Beloit, couldn't be prouder. You can't hear us now, so we'll yell a little louder." Now, back then, it was simply just a standard cheer. As I reflect on this simple cheer in our city, I have come to realize it is more than a cheer. It is the Beloit way. You see, when you talk to people from this great city, they will share all of the accomplishments, changes, visions, and successes that have taken place over the many years. Just like the cheerleaders boosted the fans' enthusiasm at games, we as leaders must boost the residents to become cheerleaders for Beloit. We must combat misstatements about Beloit with facts, such as our crime rate has declined in the last 2 years, and we have moved to 10-hour shifts for our officers to place the most amount of officers on duty during the times the department is facing the most amount of calls. Our fire department continues to work diligently to provide fire and emergency care for our residents. Our firefighters also continue to educate our parents, youth, and businesses on fire protection and prevention initiatives. If you ask the police and fire department why they do what they do, I am certain they will say our residents deserve and expect a safe community. So as I think about it, what other slogan could Beloit be known as? Beloit could be known as a city of bridges. Why? It's hard to miss all of our bridges. We have walking bridges that connect two sides of the river to make one blended city. We have driving bridges that allow cars to cross the river, once again connecting us all as one community. And then we have the greatest bridges of all, the men and women who work tirelessly to create personal bridges to connect us all. Yes, we're from Beloit. Couldn't be prouder. You can't hear us now, so we'll yell a little louder. We believe in partnerships. This is evident by the partnerships made up of residents, city councilors, city staff, and the business, religious, and educational community. Every single person invested in Beloit's future helps create that bridge to make us one connected community. A strong community and city partnership benefits everyone. Last week, city staff partnered with Community Action to host a meeting in the Merrill neighborhood to talk about the goals for the neighborhood revitalization strategy area. Thank you so much to the residents who shared their vision for the neighborhood. The next city meeting will be at in the Hackett neighborhood at 6 p.m. March 27th at the Beloit Historical Society. We hope that more people attend to make their voices heard. In just over a year, the NARSA plan is off to a great start. The investments in these neighborhoods over the next few years will make our neighborhoods safer for the future of all Beloit. Hats off to Community Development Director Julie Christensen, Director of Community and Housing Services Terry Downing, and the entire Community Development team for keeping their eye on the goal. We must continue to show the residents we are working to create a workforce that reflects our community. We have made strides in both the police and fire departments, and we must continue to work in achieving this goal in all departments. We have redefined our definition of diversity in the most inclusive fashion so that city staff represents a wide variety of backgrounds and experiences to make our city stronger. We will continue to enhance our hiring practices to ensure that qualified candidates from all backgrounds are given the opportunity to work for the city of Beloit. Our city staff, under City Manager Lori Luther's leadership and with the full support of the City Council, have expanded their external hire searches to create opportunities for men and women of all backgrounds to start a career with the City of Beloit. Thank you to City Manager Lori Luther, City Attorney Elizabeth Krieger, Human Resources Manager Hannah Keene, and all the city staff who continue to strive toward this goal. The city implemented its updated workmen's compensation policies in spring of 2017, which is helping to create a safer work environment and reduce expenses. The immediate impacts are being experienced with a nearly 60% reduction in the number of injuries from 2016 to 2018. As a result, we reduced our 2019 premium by $180,000. Thanks to Finance and Administrative Services Director Eric Miller and Risk Manager David Neifeld and all who assisted with this task. Now, year after year, the question is constantly asked, where is that casino? This past year has brought us even closer to that possibility. We are closer now than we have ever been before, and I strongly believe we will see a casino in the very near future. But in the meantime, we're seeing strong economic growth. From 2016 to 2018, 943 jobs were created, 19 economic development projects were completed in the city with investments over $185 million in 2018. Economic Development Director Andrew Yockey did not wait on the casino. He continued to recruit businesses to come to the city. Thank you, Andrew. It's exciting to see new construction, renovations, and remodels happening throughout the city. We're looking forward to seeing the following businesses and organizations complete their projects in 2019. Beloit College's Powerhouse Project, 2019 completion. G5 Brewing Company, spring of 2019. The Holiday Inn Express. North Star, expansion in the Gateway. Seal Right Door. Hilton Home to Suites, and additional businesses, houses, condos, and apartments. Yes, we're from Beloit. Couldn't be prouder. You can't hear us now, so we'll yell a little louder. Just look around. You will see neighborhoods improving through our code enforcement and neighborhood revitalization endeavors. Street dance, Harry's Place, the Holiday Parade in Biff, and other downtown activities continue to bring visitors to the city. We must continue to tell the Beloit story of how we pulled together during a tough time and turned the city into a showcase city that it is today. Our library is seeing thousands of digital materials checked out. Our senior population has found many opportunities to learn and build relationships at Grinnell Senior Center. Our families are enjoying our parks and programs. We have introduced new programs, and we have built the new playgrounds to enhance our neighborhoods. Yes, we must talk about the weather. While this has been a particularly harsh winter, our Public Works Department has found ways to fully clear our main roads during major snowstorms, during major snow events, a full hour faster than in the last 2 years. While we can't escape the snow, we have many hard-working public works crews who have been working long hours to keep our streets clear of snow so we can all get to work and school each day. Thank you to the Downtown Beloit Association Executive Director Shauna Elamine, all 5 Department of Public Works divisions, engineering, operations, parks and recreation, transit and water resources, the Beloit Public Library staff, and all clubs, organizations, and departments that help maintain and enhance the quality of life in Beloit. So what about technology? An important project for city operations is the installation of an extended fiber optics network, was completed to provide a more reliable phone and data connection, eliminate downtime, increase security, and provide backup redundancy. Installation of utility poles help provide faster data connections and save the city significant dollars over time, thanks to Information Technology Director Ray Gorsling and team. The City Council meetings are paperless thanks to the efforts of our City Clerk Treasurer Lori Stotler, who worked with our IT team to install iPads in the forum so each councilor can quickly pull up any document for the meeting. Lori's team will soon undertake our spring election, and we appreciate everyone's efforts in her office to serve all of our residents. We're seeing new ways to engage our residents through the use of social media, our website surveys, and more. We want to hear from you. We want you to know that your voices are heard. From sharing snow emergency information to increase tips to the Beloit Police Department via Facebook, and from providing info and events to sharing videos from the Dirty Dash, our city staff has found unique ways to have meaningful conversations about issues that matter to you. We've also been able to share all of the great things Beloit has to offer with the state line community, Wisconsin and Illinois, the entire nation, and our Public Works Department went viral with their version of Ice Ice Baby. Yeah, Janesville, we understand. You did a remake, you did a video, but ours was better. MSNBC's Your Business featured Beloit in its Small Business Saturday episode. And I want to pause here to thank Sarah for a lot of her work for the communication. That was not in here, but she's just that modest person that she would not like to be recognized, so that's why I'm doing it in the first place. So thank you, Sarah. Do we value diversity? Of course we do. This year we renamed the Portland Avenue Bridge after Mr. Walter Knight, a man who built bridges to connect the working class to businesses. And the U.S. Navy decided to name one of its future littoral combat ships, the USS Beloit, as a nod to our city's historical connections to the U.S. Navy through Fairbanks Morse. We're also excited that retired Major General Marshall Anderson was chosen as the ship's sponsor. Anderson lived in Beloit as a child and still has family connections here today. Thank you to everyone who has been a bridge from where we were to where we are going. As we continue to move forward, I would like to issue a few challenges in a few areas where I am particularly passionate. And as a counselor, I think it's very important to note here that when I say these are areas that I am very passionate about, I never bring these up as a personal agenda for the council to address. I say that because I think it's important that we all have issues that we are passionate about, but we have to look for the entire city and work with the entire council and make sure that they're just as passionate before we try to push our agenda. I want to look at ways to address the homeless population. I know we partner with a lot of agencies, and there are even people who do not want assistance. Still, we must push forward. I would like us to keep this in the forefront of our minds and conversations. I want to look at ways to work with individuals who are returning to the area after being incarcerated. I want to see these individuals being connected to programs that help them become a contributing member of society instead of becoming a repeat offender. I want to continue to look for ways to develop a workforce to be ready as we continue to recruit new businesses. We must stay the course as we are moving in the right direction. The city manager and her team continue to look for ways to move our organization forward. We need to continue to support and challenge them to take the organization to the next level. As counselors, we must continue to ask the tough questions and be prepared to make tough decisions. We must continue to partner with the School District of Beloit to promote a positive image for the city. Let's continue to tell the world that Beloit is a great place to live, work, and play. Thank you for allowing me to serve as president the past 2 years. When I accepted the position, I knew it would be challenging and time demanding. 7:30 a.m. calls with the city manager. In her absence, 7:30 a.m. calls with the city attorney. Countless phone calls to Julie with issues. Countless phone calls to the chief on Saturday mornings. Sarah's notifying us of emergencies that's going on in the city. I don't say that to brag. I don't say that to boast. I say that as we look forward in our next election for the president, I want individuals to understand that the position to some may seem prestigious, but it's a demanding and a task that you have to be willing and ready to accept. I appreciate your partnership and your ongoing dedication to this great city. Thank you very much.
Consideration of ordinance number 3641, approving a zoning map amendment from temporary R1A single-family residential district to permanent R1A single-family residential district for the property located at 1014 West Frable Drive.
Ms. Christensen.
City Council adopted an ordinance attaching the property at 1014 Frobel Drive to the City of Beloit on December 17th of last year. Section 4 of that ordinance assigned a temporary zoning classification of temporary R1A single-family residential district and direct the Plan Commission to initiate a permanent zoning district classification for the property. Staff initiated that request on behalf of the Plan Commission. The property is a privately owned house, was annexed attached in order to connect their existing single-family home with a failing septic system to the city sanitary sewer system. The owners of the property were notified of this permanent zoning request. It will not affect the use of their property at all. And Plan Commission reviewed this item on March 6th and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the zoning map amendment. It is on your agenda for public hearing and first reading this evening.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to open up the public hearing on item 4A. Is there anyone wishing to speak on the item 4A this evening? Please step forward and state your name and address for the record. Anyone wishing to speak on item 4A this evening? Third and final call, anyone wishing to speak on item 4A this evening? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on item 4A and entertain a motion to lay this over. Is there such a motion by Forback and a second by Duncan? Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of laying this over to our next meeting say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 6-0. 4B, please.
Consideration of resolution approving a planned unit development master land use plan for the properties located at 1003, 1017, 1021 4th Street, 117 Merrill Street, and 1016 3rd Street.
Ms. Christensen.
A PUD is a special type of zoning district, and it's a type of development plan. So your PUD process, it has 3 steps to it. The first 2 are public. The third is a staff process. So the first step is a resolution approving a PUD master land use plan. The second step is a rezoning to the actual planned unit development zoning district. And then the third step is a staff review of all the site plans and building plans and everything like that. So this proposed redevelopment includes the demolition of all existing structures and surface parking lots, followed by construction of a 7,200 square foot retail building and parking driving areas to accommodate 29 off-street parking stalls. This does involve, if you looked at the location and zoning map, it is kind of a T shape, but it's at the corner of Merrill and 4th Street, and then it goes back to 3rd Street. And included in your packet are photographs of the buildings that will be demolished as part of this project if it is approved. They will need to rezone all 5 parcels to PUD. In order to do this project. They will also need to consolidate all 5 parcels into one parcel via certified survey map. The zoning ordinance requirements for PUDs include the density, intensity, or dimensional standards. You actually, through the PUD process, establish what the setbacks are going to be. They are proposing a front building setback of 15 feet. The minimum in C3 is 30. This is in the 100-year floodplain. It must be elevated 2 feet above base flood elevation, and it must be surrounded by a 15-foot elevated buffer that is at least 1 foot above the base flood elevation. So they are putting in a small retaining wall where it meets the public sidewalk, but they are, as much as possible, trying to make this kind of fit in with the 4th Street corridor, where even though the setbacks are 30 feet, a lot of those buildings are set forward a little bit more, closer to the sidewalk. The proposed building is 1 story in height. The proposed exterior walls are split-face block in 2 different colors, which are illustrated on a rendering included in your packet. The storefront will face south towards the parking lot, will include an aluminum storefront door window system and a stucco entry feature with signage. According to the sign ordinance, for PUDs, it has to be established for resolutions. So the conditions for sign in the resolutions that's before you tonight. And the code requires 29 parking stalls, and they are planning to provide 29 parking stalls. And then the PUD master land use plan review criteria is included in the ordinance, and there are 5 criteria that must be met in order for you to approve it. And staff and plan commission did feel it met all 5 review criteria. So this is on your agenda for action tonight, and it is a resolution approving a PUD master land use plan, subject to the conditions listed in the resolution, which are that the approval authorizes the redevelopment of the properties, including a 7,200 square foot retail store, off-street parking lot, and numerous site improvements. Only 1 primary building and 1 accessory building may be constructed with a maximum coverage of 10,000 square feet. The minimum building setback shall be 15 feet on all sides, and the maximum height shall be 1 story. Prior to issuance of a building permit, all 5 parcels shall be combined via certified survey map. This PUD may have 1 primary sign up to 25 feet in height and 150 square feet in area, and up to 3 secondary wall signs totaling no more than 150 square feet for all signs combined. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall obtain site plan and architectural approval, which shall include a detailed review of all site, grading, utility, landscape, and lighting plans. The plans shall include a privacy fence along the shared border with the adjacent single-family properties. The final site plan shall provide a pedestrian connection between the entrance and the public sidewalk. And then our standard condition of major changes coming back through this public process and minor changes being approved administratively. And this is on your agenda for action tonight.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to open the public hearing on item 4B. Anyone wishing to speak under item 4B this evening, please step forward and state your name and address for the record. Anyone wishing to speak under item 4B this evening? Anyone wishing to speak under item 4B? Third and final call, anyone wishing to speak under item 4B this evening? Seeing none, I will close that portion of the agenda. Public hearing on item 4B. Is there a motion from council for approval? A motion by Duncan. Is there a second? Second by Forbeck. Any questions or comments? Seeing none,
I just have a comment I'd like to make.
Council Preschel.
There's no reason not to support this. This is a damn sight better than anything that's there now, and there's nothing coming down the pipeline. But I want to repeat what was said by a number of commissioners at the Plan Commission hearing, as well as my own feelings about it. I'm disappointed that we're not seeing something on Third Street side. You know, riverfront property in the city area being what it is, I'm always disappointed to see that we're not moving something into that riverfront on the Third Street side there and breaking it up with a parking lot. So, but there's no reason not to move forward with this. It's just disappointing once again that we have, you know, a opportunity there on the riverfront side to see something, a higher use, a better use, and it's not happening. And so that's just a disappointment. I wanted to put that out there and make sure the public's aware, we are aware of what we're looking at here and the ramifications of it. And just one block south, we've got, you know, some ideas that might develop down there, but it's just disappointment to see that this is, going to jut out and take a chunk off of the Third Street side and actually break it up a little bit. But, you know, it is what it is, and we have to do what we have to do. And it is better than what we have. It's great. So I just wanted to make that observation. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, there is a motion and a second. All in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 6-0. Item 4C, please.
Consideration of an ordinance number 3644, amending the zoning district map from C3 to PUD for the properties located in the last item, to low-density multifamily residential district to PUD for the properties located at 1016 3rd Street.
Ms. Christensen.
So this is the second step in the PUD process. The properties, as Lori indicated, on 4th Street, the ones that actually front on 4th Street, are currently zoned C3, and the property on 3rd Street is zoned R3, and so this would rezone, if you approved it, would rezone those properties to PUD. This is on your agenda for public hearing and first reading tonight.
Okay, at this time, I would like to open up the public hearing on item 4C. Anyone wishing to speak on item 4C, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Anyone wishing to speak on item 4C this evening? Anyone wishing to speak on item 4C this evening? Third and final call, anyone wishing to speak on item 4C? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on item 4C and entertain a motion from council to lay this over. Is there such a motion? Motion by Blakely, is there a second? Second by Anderson. Questions or comments? Not seeing none. All in favor of laying this over to our next meeting, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 6-0 to lay over to our next meeting. Item 5 is public comments. We've reached a point on the agenda where citizens may come forward to speak on items that's not on the agenda. Council will not act on your item. We would just put it under advisement and maybe assign it to the appropriate person. However, if you get up and there's any personal attacks on staff or council, I would ask you to sit down immediately. We do ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. I will not cut you off, but I'll give you a friendly reminder that you are approaching the 3-minute mark. We do ask people to fill out forms. However, if you did not fill out a form, this is also your opportunity to come speak. Is there anyone wishing to speak under public comments this evening? Anyone wishing to speak under public comments this evening? Third and final call, anyone wishing to speak under public comments this evening? Seeing none, I will close that portion of the agenda. Move to item 6, consent agenda, please.
All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
The consent agenda consists of items 6A through 6I. Is there anyone like anything removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, if there's an approval to approve the consent agenda from items 6A through 6I, is there such a motion? There's a motion by Anderson, second by Duncan. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval of the consent agenda say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, consent agenda passes 6-0. Item 7, licenses, 7A, please.
Consideration of Resolution 2019-25 approving applicants for an alcohol beverage bartender's operator's license for the period February 26th through March 12th. You have before you this evening recommendation for 9 operator licenses. There are no denials.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Preschel. Is there a second? Second by Forback. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 6-0. 7B, please.
Consideration of Resolution 2019-27 approving an amendment to the Class B beer, Class B intoxicating liquor license for the Beloit Professional Baseball Association, doing business as the Beloit Snappers for an outdoor premise extension. You have before you tonight an application to amend their premise description on their alcohol license. The batting cages is a relatively new building on the premise. Adding this kind of makes it contiguous, and you do have in your packet a map that kind of shows the property. And this was recommended for approval by the ABLCC 5-0 last Tuesday.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Anderson. Is there a second? Second by Forback. Any questions or comments? All those. Councilor Blakely.
I just wanted to say that I'm glad the Snappers are thriving and applying for new licensing to improve and expand on what's already going out there as a major entertainment venue for summertime in Beloit.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, there is a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval of 7B, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 6-0. Item 8, ordinances. 8A, please.
Consideration of ordinance number 3643 to create, to amend, and to repeal and recreate various chapters, sections of the Chapter 31 of the Code of General Ordinances in the City of Beloit pertaining to alcohol licensing requirements. This is second reading.
Attorney Krieger.
As Madam Clerk indicated, this is a second reading. We just went through the ordinance and made sure we've had clarifications to the process that we've used over the last couple of years regarding the licensing. We've also updated the ordinance to make sure we've got all of the outdated references in check with state statute.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Preschel, second by Duncan. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 6-0. Item 9, appointments. There are none. 10, council activities and upcoming events. Councilor Anderson.
Well, just wanted to say welcome to the new superintendent of the Beloit Schools. We got a chance to meet him. Some of us went to the NAACP meeting after our joint meeting and got to have a little more of a conversation with him. He's great, so is his wife. I'm really excited to have them, and that's a great part to our city, so welcome to him. Another thing I just wanted to share for people that are interested in doing some events or coming out in the community, we have the Diversity Action Team of Rock County on Thursday at Janesville Craig High School. I know that's a little bit north of us, but they deal with all of Rock County. I'm presenting on domestic violence, so if somebody wants to come out there and see what that's about, you're more than welcome to. And then on Monday at the Merrill Community Center, Courageous Conversations. It's about Women's History Month. It's titled Nevertheless, She Persisted. So if you're looking to come out and do one of those two things, that'd be great. That's all I have. Thanks.
Councilor Blakely.
You should have gone slower, Clint, so I'd have time to make notes on everything you said. I want to give a shout out to a few people tonight. To Pam Lathrop from upstairs here at City Hall, and the people that visit Beloit and the Welcome Center. They all contributed to me being able to put together a nice little gift bag for all of the Cub Scouts I spoke to last week at Cub Scout Pack 656. Led by Patty Wilson, she's their den mother, and Kimra Birmingham is another Cub Scout master, the Cub Scout master, pardon me, Ms. Birmingham. And Dan Zeider, another Cub Scout leader, was also present. The kids were great. They were very interested in city government, and it helps that I get very animated, especially when I talk to children. So we had a good time. They learned a lot, and I got a taste of what Cub Scouts are like these days. The NAACP Beloit branch meeting, as Council Member Anderson just mentioned, introduced us to the new superintendent of Beloit Schools, Dr. Stanley Monroe, and his wife, Giovanna. I think they're going to be a real asset to our community. So I urge everybody to get to know them once he gets started here full-time, July 1st. And then also at the NAACP meeting, that was an important night here in Beloit. The new Wisconsin Superintendent of Public Instruction, Carolyn Stanford Taylor, came down to see us from Madison to speak to Beloiters. She happens to be the first African American to hold the office, so that was a big moment all the way around. Tomorrow night, three of us incumbents, Nancy Forbeck, Clint Anderson, and myself, are at a public conversation, a candidates conversation, 6 o'clock over at the library. So people are welcome to stop by. Tell us what's important to you about the city and find out what's going on in our job duties. That's sponsored by JOB, Justice Overcoming Borders, and the NAACP. On Friday, I will quit here soon.
I haven't said what
I'm
you're
using my
doing.
auctioneer's rapid-fire voice here.
You're doing very well.
All right, thank you very much. This coming Friday, a Beloit College project on local history called the History Harvest will hold its first gathering session from 2 to 7 p.m. at New Zion Baptist Church, 1905 Mound Avenue. Beloiters are invited to share any letters, photos, objects, and stories of your own or from relatives, grandparents maybe, who were involved in the big migration to Beloit of people of color from the very segregated South up to cities like Beloit in the north, looking for greater opportunities. It was an exciting time. Lots of people taking risks to get resituated and find opportunities up here. So the college students, under the guidance of a couple people, a couple professors and others, are meeting to have a first sharing from the public. So it's going to be very fascinating. Even if you don't have something of your own to share and want to stop by and maybe overhear these things, it'll be a first opportunity. After they're done with this big project of the History Harvest, it'll be released and available to the public. Let me see, that was number 4. Getting on to number 5, another shout out to Public Works and Operations especially. Friend's mailbox got knocked over during the extreme weather we had. It happens. You get the big machinery out there, you get the snow piles up to here, you're going to hit a mailbox or two. The city came out, got the mailbox back up within a couple days. It's so sturdy. So thanks to all of you for doing that. Fire Chief Brad Liggett, I wanted to thank you. When my car fell apart after I went through the car wash a couple weeks ago, I was pulled over to the side of the road with some of my help already arrived and some other on the way. And Chief Liggett stopped. He had his lights going, as he would have done for anybody else he saw in trouble. He stopped to make sure everything was okay and made me feel like less of a goofball for losing my bumper in the car wash. Thank you very much. Oh, and hi, Beth Jacobson. I hope you're doing okay tonight. We miss having you here. Thank you. All done.
Okay, just
Full stop.
Counselor Forbeck.
Wow, I can't have no report this time.
Counselor Presho.
Well, wow. I'll be as brief as I can possibly be. Coming up Wednesday morning is the golf committee, the first meeting of the year, and I think Kevin still lets me go to that one because he can't find any other counselor to go up there at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday. But anyway, what else am I doing besides drinking coffee? Thursday evening at 5, we'll finally have the Home 2 Suites grand opening, which has been put off a couple of different times due to weather. And I'm looking forward to that because I know all those guys and from many, many years ago. And then coming up on Monday at 1 o'clock at Grinnell Hall is What the Tech. It'll be the last Monday session we do, since I'm working on Mondays usually now. And so we've been moving that to the last Thursday of the month here in April. So we're looking forward to that. We've had, on average, from 9 to 13 people showing up for this with all kinds of technology. Nothing like seeing 7 different phones and tablets all at once. Oddly enough, there were 11 people there one month, and not a single soul brought a computer. It was all phones, tablets, and things like that. And last month we had 2 people show up with flip phones because they couldn't figure out how to operate them. Boy, that was actually harder than anything I've done I can remember. So anyway, we do that every month on the last Monday coming up in April. We're starting on the last Thursday, 1 o'clock, Grinnell Hall. And then again on Monday evening at 5:30 at the Merrill Community Center is Courageous Conversations, something that Counselor Anderson talked me into going to many months ago, and I continue to go. It's a very interesting group of people, and we talk about things that are not that easy to talk about sometimes. And I encourage anybody who's curious to come out to Merrill Community Center at 5:30 on Monday night and check it out. So that'll be enough for now. Thank you.
Councilor Duncan.
I had the opportunity to attend the Latino Service Provider Luncheon with our city manager and staff. It was humbling that the city of Beloit was recognized with an award. Special thanks to our city staff for their hard work and dedication in promoting diversity. Also, I joined Councilor Forbeck and Senator Ringhan in reading to children at McNeil Intermediate School in celebration of Dr. Seuss's birthday. And then when I came in tonight, I noticed there were some letters from the McNeil students from the school, and one of them says, "Thank you, I speak for the trees." So, and this is from Montserrat Garcia Vinces. And then I'm just gonna, and I have to read one little poem. I thought this was the cutest little thing. This is another letter from one of the kids, and he did like a little poem. And I guess he really learned something while we were there, Nancy, because he says the Lorax, "Thank you. I would thank you here and there. I would thank you anywhere. I would want you on a goat. I would thank you with a goat or in his park or at the zoo, because that was awfully, truly nice of you." So, and that was from, and I don't know if I read that correctly, but that's from, I think he has Deal to Mrs. Duncan. So there was a stack of them in the mailboxes today. So the students from McNeil, we really, really appreciate them. All I can say is we have some very smart future leaders in our schools. So, and also, in addition to that, I went to the 92nd Chamber of Commerce Annual Awards Dinner, and I saw some of our other colleagues were there as well. And I'm proud to announce that my workplace, Beloit Health System, was recognized with the Large Business Award for 2018. And our CEO, Tim McKevitt, was honored with the 2019 Beloit Daily News Lawrence A. Raymer Award. So special congratulations to Tim and all the award recipients who are making a difference in our community. Also, I attended the Fruzen School Community Expo, the Health Equity Alliance of Wright County meeting, the Merrill Neighborhood Listening Session at Merrill Community Center, the special joint workshop along with our city manager, our new superintendent, our city council, and the school district of Beloit, as well as an event on Saturday in honor of Frank Carroll Sr., which was held at New Life Ministries. Special thanks to all the residents and staff who have helped to make these events a success. It's been a busy month with a lot of great things happening in Beloit. With that said, I encourage everyone to bring it to the ballot and get out to the polls and vote on April 2nd in our spring election. You can check the City of Beloit website and Facebook page for information. Polls will be open from 7 o'clock a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. And while you're looking at that, it would be wonderful if you could take a moment to view our city committees. We are always looking for talented people to fill those vacancies. Lastly, there have been shootings that have taken place throughout the world. Let's continue to pray for the children and families of all those involved. I encourage our citizens to be even better and spread the love. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank the city manager, Sarah, and anyone else who had anything to do with these wonderful brochures. We all have these, and we're going to be passing them out to people. I usually keep them in my car, and as I go places out of town, I usually give them to people to kind of show what great things Beloit are doing. We do have some at City Hall as well, but I want to, it's full of information, but it's great when they put that stuff together to let people know our successes and what's going on in the city. So hats off to the city manager and Sarah and anyone else who played a part in that. But I really also want to thank Sarah today as well. For a lot of people who don't know, when you give State of the City addresses, you have a version and you work with the communications person and you're emailing back and forth. And I think, Sarah, we finally got what we wanted by 5:15-ish is when we were going back and forth. So when we say hot off the presses, that's truly what it means. But it lets me know, and also Pam Lathrop was involved in that as well. But I want to thank them because, they could have just said, well, go with what you want, but I think that shows professionalism that we want to represent the best for the city, and just that partnership and ongoing communication by phone, email, and I appreciate that. So everyone who works for the city, I keep saying it over and over again, you are a great team. Lori Stotler, there's times I could call her on my way to work for information, but everyone who's employed with the city, thank you for each and everything that you do. You may not get mentioned a lot in speeches or anything, but at least for me, I can simply say I greatly appreciate it, because you don't have to do it, but you do. And we just want to say thank you to everyone, all of our employees and staff. So once again, I'll ask the department heads, division heads, if you could go back at your next meeting or whenever and let your staff know that we greatly appreciate the work that they do each and every day. That would conclude council activities and upcoming events. 11 is city manager's presentation. There aren't any. Item 12, reports from boards and city officers. 12A, please.
This is a group of resolutions that will need to be acted on separately tonight. The first one is consideration of Resolution 2019-32, providing for the sale of approximately $1,945,000 general obligation promissory notes, Series 2019A.
Mr. Miller.
Good evening. As part of the annual capital improvement plan, the city issues general obligation notes and bonds in order to fund our capital programs. And so tonight is the first step in that process of issuing those bonds and notes. And so with me tonight, I have our financial advisor, Greg Johnson from Ellers and Associates, and he will walk through the sale day reports.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll speak first to the pre-sale report for the general obligation promissory notes. The notes are being financed, issued to provide capital for some of your general public work projects, some existing facilities, repair and renovation projects, some of your golf course improvements, vehicle and equipment purchases as well. The debt service from the notes will be paid from ad valorem property taxes, your debt service levy. I'll walk through the financial impact and summary of the projects in the pre-sale report. I'll first direct your attention to page 6, which includes a breakdown of the projects that are included in both the note issue and the bond issue, both of which are on your agenda this evening. In terms of how we go through and make the allocation between the note and bond issue, the primary consideration is really state statutes. General obligation notes have a term outstanding of 1 to 10 years. They can generally finance any public improvement project. We typically include project and notes that aren't bond eligible or have a shorter useful life. General obligation bonds, which are also on your agenda, you can finance particular projects with bonds as long as they are listed in state statute without having the bonds go through a referendum. There are certain types of projects that are not bond eligible. A lot of your equipment and vehicle replacements are a good example of those types of projects you could not include in a bond issue, which is why we include them in notes. So you'll see the listing of all the particular projects under the general category and then a line item detail of everything that's identified. For the notes, we're looking at $1,945,000. For the general obligation corporate purpose bonds, we're looking at $3,685,000. Those two combined add up to $5,630,000. There are several resolutions that are on your agenda. There's one resolution for the promissory notes, and then there are several resolutions for the general obligation corporate purpose bonds. One of the requirements of state statutes is that even though you are funding a variety of projects with one bond issue, you're required to identify how much of the bond issue is going towards a particular type of improvement. So there's a specific resolution for street improvements, community development projects, parks, and fire improvements. And then there's a final resolution that encompasses all of those projects into the $3,685,000. So in terms of the fiscal impact of both the notes and the bond issues, that's summarized on page 7 of the pre-sale report for the notes. I'll briefly summarize the impact on the far left-hand side of the spreadsheet as really a breakdown of all of your existing general obligation debt and the estimated tax rate for that debt service. You'll see in the equalized value projection on the far left-hand side, we factored in both the 2019 and 2020 equalized values, closures of TIF districts that will impact the equalized value in both of those years. And then we've just projected some conservative appreciation and growth in your tax base going forward, 0.5% in 2021, 0.75% in 2022 and 2023, and then 1% growth thereafter. So fairly conservative appreciation with the exception of 2 TIF districts and factoring in the increment value from both coming back onto the tax rolls. Your annual P&I, principal and interest payments, that is a annual summary of the total principal and interest on existing debt outstanding. The city budgets a variety of revenue sources to help pay that debt service. Non-levy revenue sources, those are identified as abating or reducing your debt service levy, and then the remainder of your principal and interest payments fall to your debt service levy. So for your 2019 budget, your debt service levy was approximately $5,031,000. On the far right-hand side of the spreadsheet, we've incorporated the estimated debt service for both the notes and the bonds. So the notes are shown first, followed by the bond issues, and then the third column from the right projects your debt service levy incorporating your existing debt as well as the proposed notes and bonds that you are considering this evening. So you'll see in the far right-hand column is your estimated equalized tax rate for debt service that incorporates both existing and proposed debt. Your tax rate for last fiscal year was about $3.69 per thousand. This year it's at $3.52 per thousand on equalized basis. With both the notes and the bonds, it's only projected to be at $3.59 next year in 2020, and then it gradually declines going forward. The city has a debt service tax rate policy range that you target to stay within $3.80 and $4.25 as a maximum range, and so you are below that range even incorporating these proposed borrowings. So that's kind of an overview of the fiscal impact of the notes and the bonds. Going back a couple pages onto page 5 is just a summary of the timeline in terms of where we're at and the process going forward. As Mr. Miller mentioned, we're at stage 1 today. This is the first step in the process. The resolutions are on your agenda for consideration. If you choose to proceed, we will prepare the offering documents and get ready to take the notes and bonds into the securities market. We will assist the city with their rating call with Standard & Poor's. That's estimated to occur the week of April 22nd. The official statement will be made public around April 26th, and then the note and bond sale is scheduled to occur on May 6th of 2019. We'll tabulate the bid results that morning and present them to you for consideration that evening. The estimated closing date, the date the city would receive both the note and the bond proceeds, is May 22nd. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions about the notes or the bonds or any of the resolutions.
Are there any questions?
No, I just want to comment. You have a great way of making things clear.
Thank you.
Yes,
Oh, I thought you had a question.
I do. My light's back on now. I thought I did, then I didn't, then I do.
So you're free to ask your question.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that the work that you all do, and Eric and his department here, is so thorough, because you're not only pulling together all of this information for the city and giving us projections, I know they're just projections, for the next 20 years. You're not only doing that, but you're keeping an eye on the statewide and national marketplace as it applies to bonds and notes as well. Could you say just briefly for people tuning in, why now is a good time to be going forward with this?
Two reasons. Interest rates are still very favorable. We've been in a low historic interest rate environment for several years, but over the last couple of weeks, bond yields have started trending a little bit downward, so rates are looking favorable. And then the other reason is that there's presently very strong demand in the municipal securities market. There's, bond volume hasn't been as high as it's been in recent years, and so there's lots of interest and demand for, rated notes and bonds. So those two factors combined make it a good time to be going into the market.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, 12A, please. Just need a motion. Yeah.
I so move. Second.
Motion by Forbeck, second by Blakely. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 6-0. 12B, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Preschel, second by Duncan. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 6-0. 12C, is there a motion?
I so move.
Motion by Forback, second by Duncan. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 6-0. 12D, is there a motion? Motion by Duncan, is there a second? Second by Preschel. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 6-0. 12E, is there a motion? Motion by Anderson, second by Blakely. Any questions or comments?
I just want to make one more comment, because the city manager has pointed this out, and we all know this. This is all started back when we did the budget last fall and approved it and everything. So this is just a necessary step to get the ball rolling on the budget we all voted on and accepted last November. So just to point that out to people who may be watching at home and wondering, what are we doing up here? Thank you.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 6-0. 12F, is there a motion? Motion by Forback, second by Duncan. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 6-0. Item 13, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Preschel, is there a second? Second by Forback. Questions, comments? All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we are passed. We are adjourned.
This will be at
Thank you.
Austin's.